Hi. That's my little impression of the Conservatives' electoral strategy. I know some of you are thinking, come on now, don't be ridiculous. That was far more coherent than anything that Rishi Sunak's crew could possibly come up with. Now, I realise they're in a right old mess. They are cornered animals looking at their polling. Catastrophic. Not getting any better in any meaningful way for them. Hasn't for a very long time. Rishi Sunak's own popularity is approaching where Boris Johnson was in the aftermath of Partygate. So they really are staring a cataclysmic election defeat down the barrel of a gun. I mean, just for the sake of dignity, does that really justify turning your least favourite racist uncle ranting after one too many Quantros into a programme for government? Now, according to the spin doctors in number 10, it does justify doing that. Now, let's just start with this, shall we? So after the Tories got a pretty massive kicking in the recent by-elections, the Tories decided they'd spotted a little life raft. And that life raft was carved with these letters. Well, you can spell it out for yourself. Uxbridge and South Ruislip. Now, you see, in that particular constituency, they clung on, admittedly only by a few hundred votes, after a whopping big swing against them, it must be noted, in a constituency, bear in mind, which Labour didn't actually win even in their 1997 landslide. But their view very clearly was it was ULEZ which won it. That's the ultra-low emission zone, which is due across almost the entirety of London by the end of August, where old polluting vehicles have to pay a charge to be used. Now, let's just park the fact. Oh, little pun there. Didn't even intend that. Park the fact this will only affect about 1 in 10 cars. Park the fact most Londoners back ULEZ. Park the fact that even out of London, where public transport is more scarce and there is more opposition to ULEZ as a consequence, polling suggests an even split. Part of the fact that this is primarily about clean air, given pollution kills up to 36,000 people in Britain a year and damages the health of far, far more people than that, including, of course, younger people. There is no question that this issue hit home amongst some voters, particularly when you get lower turnout in a by-election, so the most galvanised voters on an issue like this are more likely to come out, and particularly given Labour don't have a clear message of their own. So that helped the Tories cling on. Not sure how that's going to work when ULEZ is bedded in and is no longer a contested issue, but we move. So the Tories decided, oh, that's how we can win. We can just say F you to the planet, let it burn, and the voters will come our way. Now, the whole shtick, pretty much, is going like this. Actually, voters think anything to do with the environment or climate is about imposing massive costs on themselves. So we'll abandon our climate commitments and that way force the Labour Party into a corner, which is like, oh, Labour are going to impose costs on you to, save the planet. Which is why they announced hundreds of oil and gas licences to max out Britain's fossil fuel supply. Now, as the United Nations Secretary-General, Antonio Guterres has put it, the truly dangerous radicals are the countries that are increasing the production of fossil fuels. That'll be us then, Antonio. He talked about that last year, but he obviously had a premonition. Now, the idea this is about reducing bills is ridiculous. Our dependence on gas means we have high bills. Gas is expensive, so that's not a good idea. Renewable energy is cheaper than gas, so if you want cheaper bills, with the added bonus of not destroying the planet, by the way, then that's the way to go. And in any case, any new fields, gas, oil, well, they won't produce any new fossil fuels on stream for many, many years. It's not like you just go, oh, here's some gas, plug in a little pipe. Hey, presto, it's in people's homes. Doesn't work like that. So that takes many years. Now, we're supposed to reach net zero by 2050, which is already too late. We should be doing it by 2030. But that's tossing that over a cliff, isn't it? It's just going, why should we? Now, doing this when we've seen all over our TV, computer, mobile screens, whatever, the extreme weather, which has been causing devastation all over the planet, the heat waves, the record heat waves in many, many countries, extreme weather, which is becoming more and more likely. I witnessed it myself. I've just come back from Berlin. Just have a little look at what happened. I just popped into a supermarket with my friend, left the dog tied up, narrowly saved it, seemed fine, went to the supermarket for a few minutes, came out, this is what we saw. Deary me. What are we going to see in 10 years' time? That's what I'd like to know. Now, obviously, if they want to reduce bills, then Rishi Sunak would throw absolutely everything at renewable energy, which would create a huge amount of jobs. And also, for example, a mass insulation of homes and businesses, which the Tories gutted, I had to say, under David Cameron, when he said, let's get rid of the green crap. We did that and then abandoned mass insulation attempts. And that means higher fuel bills for people, as well as being bad for the planet. Well done, guys. Absolutely smashing it. Now, I have ranted at the Tories here, obviously, but Labour have to answer some pretty serious questions too. I am now in this comfortable position of just saying about the whole political establishment, they all suck. Can't stand any of them. I mean, I say comfortable. I'd prefer to have political representation which actually fought to things like saving the planet, improving people's living standards, not sucking up to the rich. I said up to. But I'll just have to for now, sit around going, well, I hate them all and this is why. I don't hate them all, but, I was told not to hate, but you get the gist. Now, their own response, Labour's response to the by-elections was absolute clownery and allowed the Tories to do this madness because they also started slanging off ULEZ and threw Sadiq Khan, the Mayor of London, under a bus by basically going, it's his fault with ULEZ and all the rest of it. And they helped legitimise the narrative that green policies suck and indeed started briefing against Ed Miliband to that effect, suggesting afterward, that apparently his name was mud amongst senior Labour figures, associating the green package with unpopularity. Now, they've already backtracked, for example, on their £28 billion a year commitment for the Green Transition Fund, so that's not great. And crucially, they've also said that they keep all new oil and gas licences. So the Tories obviously got them there, haven't we? So we can just come up with as many oil and gas licences as possible. Labour will go, yeah, okay, we'll keep them. And that's what they've done. They've come out and done them. Labour gone, yeah, we'll keep them. Yeah, we'll keep, yeah. Oh, you want endless numbers before the election? Yeah, we'll just sign them all off. That's all good with us. Another point I did want to make, though, which is about a danger to our democracy, which I think I'll write and talk about at greater length in the coming weeks and months ahead. Dark times are coming. I don't be down about it, but you've got to be realistic, haven't you? The far right are on the march all over Europe. Trumpism is very powerful in the United States. Donald Trump has every chance of becoming president once again. There's a chance he'll lose. There's a chance he'll become president. I'm just saying, we've got a rocky time ahead, so we better look out for each other. You've noticed the Tories engaging in ever more extreme demagoguery. Climate, migrants and refugees, obviously the Rwanda scheme, talking about migrants and refugees being invaders and all the rest of it. The onslaught against trans people, latest being outing young trans people to their parents, no matter how bigoted or transphobic those parents might be. Now, it does remind me of what happened with the Republican establishment under Barack Obama. They started indulging all sorts of right-wing conspiratorial nonsense. His birth certificate, is he a Marxist? Which he ain't, just to hit that on the head. Obamacare is communism, that kind of thing. Now, a lot of the Republican establishment didn't really believe it, but they indulged it because they thought it was politically convenient to do so. And in doing so, they created a monster, a radicalised right-wing movement. And eventually that movement found a figurehead, and that figurehead was Donald Trump. And that right-wing movement under Donald Trump devoured the Republican Party like a big, hungry crocodile. And I think that's going to happen to the Conservatives. I think when they lose, and I think they're going to lose, what they're going to do is all this culture war stuff they're doing at the moment, they're going to just ramp it up, like massively ramp it up. And they'll just end up, like the Republicans have become this, essentially to taken over as a far-right movement. You've seen it like Hungary. The ruling Fidesz party used to be seen as a centre-right party. Then it just became this like fanatical, authoritarian, far-right movement. I think that's going to happen with the Conservatives. I think they're just going to indulge all of this, what they're doing now, but just really up the ante. And I think that will end. The danger is, will it find a figurehead? That's the issue. Because otherwise they'll just flounder around looking like lunatics. But could they find a charismatic figurehead who could be a kind of true believer who'll fight for these things, or whether he's a true believer or not, but will authentically express it, he or she? That's the concern, isn't it? Because that's the strategy they're pursuing. And we've seen what happened in the United States. Not just the United States. So I just want to put a little marker there, because we need to talk about that. And I think that's something to be very, very clear about. Anyway, just to cheer you up, come back from Germany, thought I'd just put a little spring in our steps. Optimism. We've got to be optimistic, and I will do more videos trying to inject some optimism into things, but got to work with what you've got, really, haven't you? And that's it today. Please like, subscribe. Do support us on patreon.com/ownjs84 if you want this channel and podcast to continue. And listen to us on the podcast. And I will speak to you soon.